and thank you for having me once again at this particular Voiceover conference. The last one was quite explosive, even if it was during COVID. Quite a lot of things has happened over that period, that has made almost like a follow-up from that particular conversation. Again, I'm one of the beneficiaries of that, which is the fact that, flowing up until that time, there was nobody doing anything along the lines of Voiceover conference. And that being said, we're in a unique space right now. So, but today I'm going to be speaking about understanding your business, branding, selling, and earning. The Voiceover conference essentially opened up quite a lot of things to a lot of people. But today I'm going to be speaking generally outside the Voiceover conference, which means that the concept of business in itself, which is understanding the business. So I often will say to people that business is the act of exchanging value from one person to the other. But then again, in terms of bringing to the table an exchange, a means of exchange. So I'm selling a pen, which is value. Somebody needs a pen, and then I'm exchanging that for what it is that I need. And in most times, it's usually about the money. But today, the business of selling is everybody's business. At every point in time, everybody is involved in that business. So, I mean, before you get married, you're probably selling to your potential wife your vision, which is why the wife would come over to your side. And in most cases these days, when women are proposing, the woman is hopefully selling a vision to the man before acceptance of our proposal. So going straight into that conversation on understanding the business, all right? And before any business is being done, a lot of people are focusing more on branding. So you see a lot of people have business cards. You see a lot of people have signages. You see a lot of people have a lot of paraphernalia around the business, but the business itself, most people don't understand what it is. So the business remains that there is an act of you trading something for something, all right? And the moment you do not have that at all, then you don't have a business. So if somebody comes to you to say, exactly what are you selling, you've got to be able to say to them, I am exchanging a pen for cash, all right? And that act itself is evolving, and it will constantly evolve from one place to the other. So the concept of business has always remained the same. Value meets needs. Hence, it starts with the identification of a need, which necessitates the creation of value. Now, if we get that correctly, the concept of understanding one's business stems from a person's personality. So this also would dovetail into what we call branding now. So as a person, there's a personal touch that I bring into Cerebre, for instance. All right, certain value proposition that makes Cerebre unique in the space that we are in. Coming into the advertising space, a lot of people speak about high balls, a lot of people speak about creativity, but we're coming into the space saying specifically to people, to clients, to potential clients, that what we bring to the table transcends eyeballs. We're talking conversion. And it's not a cliche, because at the end of the day, you can't get into the space whereby a lot of people are seeing you, but they are not converting. So we then go the step further to probe, to say, why aren't you converting? The moment we get that, we are closing the gap on that, such that you are not only visible, but you are making your returns on investment. So if you spend X amount of naira on creating awareness in certain space, you should be able to get returns on your investment based on the strategy, based on the methods that we bring to the table. So always start right. And according to research, 90% of startups will usually fail because they are not getting this right. They're not getting what the business is. So you see a lot of people come in to pitch and ask you to invest in their business, but you can clearly see that they haven't thought through the entire process of, understanding their own business. And the moment you can sell your business to a potential buyer, then basically you've lost. So understanding your business is essential. Knowing where your bread is being buttered is extremely important and extremely essential. Now, every other thing, just, for awareness, for branding, for whatever it is, but understanding the business remains the fulcrum to you succeeding in business, So, and then you get to see people speak about, I want to scale my business. Now, even scaling your business is not even so much it's not so much important until you understand your business. And understanding your business has a lot to do with research and development. So you understand, what the market potential is. All right. So a lot of people speak about Nigeria having, 220 million or 180 million in terms of population, but they never speak about the earning power of those people who make up the 220 million, who make up the 180 million, depending on who you're speaking to. And when you speak to that, that is actually you understanding the business. At every point in time, people are going to need clothes, people are going to need shoes, people are going to need what's called water, daily amenities. But the transitioning between, you're not going to be wearing new clothes every day. All right. So having that understanding also makes you put that into consideration in terms of the cost per unit of anything that you're selling. Makes you understand that what I'm selling is not an essential commodity as such. But every single day, somebody needs food. We need food to survive. So understanding that business will put you in a certain state, will put you in a place whereby everybody understands the dynamics of where you are playing in. So if you ask me, for instance, we're transitioning, all right, even as Cerebre, from waiting or seeking to receive brief, all right, from clients to a daily activity whereby you're earning on a daily basis. Now, this is also having to understand the business as to what it is that we're doing, the field we're in. So you don't have to wait till a pitch is being done before you get into the ring. So everybody has got to be extremely, all right, truthful, extremely honest with what it is that they're doing, understanding that business. So the starting point, every business owner must answer 3 fundamental questions. What is our value? What is our value? What is our framework? What value do you bring to the table? Now, if you answer that question correctly, which is not, we're not saying you should gas yourself up now. You can say all the lofty English and all of that, mission statement, vision statement. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, like, what's the real value that you're bringing to the table? And that value is a function of your people, your staff. What skill sets do they have? All right. On that premise, you will be clear that this is our value proposition. That value proposition will be tested over and over and over again. Now, in certain spaces, like for instance, maybe Starbucks, all right, which is a brand in the US, right? You will see them pride themselves in their people, in their customer service. You see them pride themselves not just in the coffee in itself that they sell, but they pride themselves in an all-encompassing kind of solution, which is called the marketing solution. You see them speak to those things, that this is where our value proposition is. All right? And they look at that hand to hand. The second question is this: what markets are we servicing? What markets are you servicing? So you see somebody trying to make slippers or make shoes or make clothes the market segment is usually very slim because everybody has somebody who probably makes shoes, who probably makes slippers, who probably makes cakes or bakes cake. All right, what markets are you servicing? And if you look at people who bake cake and do those things in that space, every household, your competition becomes, what's it called now? Your competition becomes everybody, literally, every woman who can cook, or every man who can cook, or who can bake cake. So when you look at that, what market are we servicing? So somebody's getting married, for instance, there are like 10 other people who are ready to bake that cake for the person. So having to identify that space allows you to understand your business the more. The third and last question is how scalable is this market? Now, this is where the problem always is, because if you understand your value, so everybody bakes cake, but not everybody bakes a certain type of cake. All right? The skill set to be dynamic in what you do basically sets you apart. All right. I mean, I heard somebody said something. He says, there are few sound engineers in Nigeria. Everybody can fiddle with, fiddle with the console. But there are actually few sound engineers. There are sound engineers for, when you want to have a outside space, like a outside concert, for instance, outdoor concert. There are few engineers who can work that. All right. So having to understand that business, you will set yourself apart almost immediately. How scalable is the market? You need to understand, is this market scalable? All right. Now, having sorted those things out, branding automatically follows, because once you understand your framework, once you understand your value, you yourself can actually begin to modify those things. In fact, having to understand those things will lead to you probably giving your business name a particular name or changing that name entirely, because the value basically drives every of the other conversation. So the value framework of any business, it is conscience and reason for existence. The value framework, it's its conscience and reason for existence. Having to understand this thing is critical to your business. So the framework revolves around the purpose. What's the purpose? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Is it that everybody else is making money from me? That's why I want to do it. Organization's mission, organization's vision, the core values, and then the structure. Once you understand all of these things, it allows you to get into the business proper. So, you can't come into an organization, for instance, and, the people are scattered. It basically speaks to their value proposition. You walk into a bank, it's a replica of the same. The branches are usually a replica of the same. If there are few changes there, maybe the size of the organization, I'm talking about the physical location now. So primarily, understanding your business dovetails into your branding and ultimately dovetails into your selling. A good product, like they say, sells itself. That's the truth. And that good product is a function of a major thing. That good product is a function of the fact that you understand your value. All right? Understanding that value automatically will sell what it is that you're doing. Automatically will get into the place of branding. You then begin to understand if I'm, looking at a color orange or a color gray or a color green. So all of these things have direct implication on your branding, direct implication on your selling, direct implication on your earning. All right? Which is why you see people, although they've abused the word luxury now, you see people, who are in real estate, for instance. Every building now is luxury. But we know luxury when you see one. You know luxury when you see one. You talk about the location, you talk about the aesthetics, you talk about the functionality, you talk about, the ambient. That is when you can feel, smell, touch, value. And that's when you classify those things as what they are. It also follows the earning power of it. I don't think anybody will walk into a Mercedes Benz or a what's it called now, a Rolls Royce, and start arguing with them why they should sell the car to you for a certain amount. The amount is almost fixed because you know what it is that you're buying. So when we speak about understanding your business, it's one of the first, and I'm going to be closing out with this, is the major defining factor to your selling, to your earning. In fact, certain people, certain businesses, all you need to do is to go to them and you can basically leverage emotions to possibly get them to do certain things. But it doesn't change the fact that the price is the price. So when you understand your business proposition, when you understand your business value, it basically will drive every other thing. Your branding will come naturally because of what it is that, because of the value that you've gotten from defining your business. All right. But when you do the things that everybody else does, all right, you're going to be placed amongst everybody else. You're going to be placed amongst everybody else. So there are certain people who are skilled in the things that they do, and they've been set apart because of that thing. So the value proposition is key, in terms of what it is that you're doing. I'm going to close with it. Respect the game. So the best foundation for all businesses are built on mutual respect of feedback from the business and its market. This is what sustains the business. So you might, in your own space, have gone through a strategy session and said, this is the value, this is that, written all of those things. But then again, the market will tell you whether what you're saying is true or not. Okay, and you've got to listen to that. You've got to respect that. You've got to respect that when the market dictates what's going on, you've got to respect that. Otherwise, you're going to be out of business in a couple of minutes, literally. So the value proposition determines those things, but then the value proposition must be tested. That value proposition that you've gotten must be tested. And testing that value proposition means that you're going into the market and asking people what they feel. You can't say I'm the best, all right? You can't say I'm the best in what I do, but nobody is buying. You see the Apple product, for instance, or even what's it called, a Samsung product. The value they've put into it determines the queue, usually, when a new phone is being released. And that's where we're getting into. So even for the services that we render, let it be that you've done your due diligence in all that you need to do. When you do your due diligence, you elicit a certain type of response from your customers, from your consumers. Now, at that point in time, when you do all of that, I was watching an article on Rolls-Royce. Up until date, they've not sold more than 5,512 units. 5,512 units of Rolls-Royce. But one cost, per unit cost, possibly erodes all of those things. In fact, some of the things that they do are handcrafted. So what's the value? What's the value? Well, what's the value on your business? You might say, I'm into just voiceover. What's value? I mean, we've heard of Michael Power, the guy who did voiceover for Guinness and went ahead to possibly do a documentary also for them. Now, the dynamics of that business basically shows what is being offered. So when people say to you, is it not just voiceover? You're saying to them that it's more than voiceover. What I'm bringing to the table is research. Every single time you bring an understanding to the table, all right, that goes beyond what the client is asking for, it's only a matter of time. People will then begin to respect you, all right, for the value you bring to the table. So in wrapping up the entire conversation, understanding your business is critical to branding. Do not put the cart before the horse. Or is it the other way around now? All right. So understanding your business, having a serious understanding of your business, where your bread is being buttered, is important. So demarcate and find a niche for yourself, even when a lot of people are in that same space. Set yourself apart. This is what we do. Focus on that. Keep doing that. Test it in the market. Ensure that you're not living in a bubble or you're living in a world of your own. Ensure that these things are being tested. Once it's been tested, stick to it and then keep doing it. Thank you very much. I hope I've been able to pass my message across effectively. If there are any questions, I'd like to take them. Thank you and God bless you.